Welcome to NWA Connie Corso's podcast, where we talk all things dogs.
I'll be damned if I'ma let a hard time change me. I'm trying to find my way about the dark. I know you gotta feel me, feel me, feel me, feel me, feel me, feel me.
Hey, welcome back to the NWA Connie Corso show where we talk all things dogs. Welcome everybody back. Salute Ferga, American Bulldog, Dickie, He Famous Falter, Exotic Borwell, shout out Tsunami. Everybody, welcome back. Well, we got another show. This is an outstanding young brother. I think he's underrated. I really do, because he helps all dogs community. You know what I mean? From the big dog to the small dogs. And he's I like to refer to him as kind of a renegade. You know what I mean? Because he's going to keep you at the vet as much as possible. Some people call him the breeder. Some people call him the scientist. Mr. Muscle Line Bull is in the house.
What's going on, man?
What's up, brother?
Oh, man, I like the intro, man. The intro, everything, man. Since I was last on your show, man. Oh, man,
Yeah.
you taking it to a new level, man. It's dope.
Oh, man,
it's
yeah.
cool to see that.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. We just trying to get better each day. You know, how we deliver it, what we finding out, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, what's been good?
Oh, man. I mean, since I was last on your show, just expansion, just being more and more busy, you know. I had my own litter that dropped. So for us here, whenever we have a litter, it's really it's really special, and it's all hands on deck, because we have so many juggling pieces, you know, not just breeding our dogs, but then also still fulfilling the online store that we have with all the, you know, products we sell and stuff. And then
Right.
obviously all the people I try to help day to day, whether it's they call us or I'm responding to emails, messages, all that stuff. So and then, I mean, hey, I do have a family I'm trying to have at the same time. So yeah. So it gets crazy. It gets crazy, you know. And at the same time, I try to make time to just continue to learn. You know what I'm saying? Continue to learn and share it with the world. So yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on, man.
Man, how long have you been doing this, brother, for just dealing with dogs on the level you are now?
I want to say, like, so I got into the dogs. I got into the dogs around like 2012, really. That's when I was basically right when I graduated high school. When I actually had my own job that I could afford to purchase a dog. But at the level that I do it now, I would say it's probably been the last, like, maybe like 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Where, like, in the past 5 years is where I really kind of doubled down, and every day I was like reading anything, something different. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the compound effect. I would read like a page out of a different type of book for dogs, veterinary medicine, so on and so forth, every single day. And the next thing you know, 365 days turns into, you know what I'm saying? The compound effect. The information starts to compound on itself. And
Right.
I started applying it in my dog breeding program. And so I would say like the past 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, well, man, it's impressive, brother, because I mean, if you guys hadn't been to his channel, man, y'all got to go over there. He gonna change you into a baby vet. I'm like, it's nuts, man. Just to watch the progression, and every time we look up, you got something new going on. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like, I had a friend ask me. He said, well, if you give out all the information, right, eventually you're gonna run out of like videos. You're gonna run out of content to do if you give out all the information. And I said, well, I think information's infinite. So if I continue to educate myself, I'll never run out of videos. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how it's been. You know?
That's right. And imagine how many times you got to reteach and retouch things as technology develops and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah, man. But so this episode we're gonna focus on whelping because that's one of the it's I always get hit with like the fundamentals. People want to
Okay.
know the fundamentals of the game. And so that's one of the things people want to talk about. And plus, guys, we'll be having a Q&A at the end. So y'all got Angel right here.
Mhm.
So let's go over just kind of understanding whelping for as the birthing process in dogs and you know, stages of labor, things like that. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah. I mean, I think the first thing that comes down to when you're having a litter of puppies is you- your breed. Does your breed require C-section? Is it possibly a 50-50, or is your breed completely natural whelp? I see some people who, like, for example, the French Bulldog community. I get a lot of people that contact me from the French Bulldog community, and they're not even really aware that they should be getting a C-section. So that's, if at its core, that's probably the most important thing, is first finding that out.
Hmm.
And after I would even say before that, obviously you need to confirm that the dog is pregnant, whether it's through x-ray, ultrasound, through blood, um, things like that. You want to confirm that the dog's pregnant, obviously, first. So when it comes time closer, I would say, like, my rule of thumb is around day, I want to say, like, around day 57 from when we last bred.
Right,
um from I'm sorry, from the first breeding, day 57 is when I start being on more of like a high alert, right? maybe
right.
even maybe even as early as day 55. 55 to 57, in that ballpark, I'm like, all right, we got to start preparing. Puppies are going to be here.
Hmm.
So what I'm doing is, so that I don't get startled and have puppies in the middle of the night or anything like that, is I'd like to know when the puppies are going to be here. So what I do is I'll get a reverse progesterone done. So it's a regular progesterone test. You could get that done in your vet. Some people have machines at home, so on and so forth. And basically, as her numbers will be high. As her numbers start to go down, that's when you know that she'll be having her puppies. So
Hmm.
the closer she is to practically, so she could be like, I don't know, depending on the machine, she could be a 20, she could be a 40, she could be a 50. As her numbers start to go down and as she gets closer to a zero, that's when zero is basically like full blown labor.
Right,
So
right.
I'm testing every couple of days afterwards. Day 57, then I might test again. Day 59, then I may test again. Day 60, and with that, that's just one piece of information. Then I'm also taking her temperature. Right? I rather take it early and get a baseline than to be like, okay, well, she's probably almost ready today type thing, and not know where her temperature normally sits at. So a dog's
Right,
temperature should be around like 101. It could be 102. It could even be 100, depending on, at the time that you tested the dog or whatever. But it's really going to be around like 101, 102, right?
right.
So once you see that she drops down to like a 98, she's usually gonna have her puppies within 24 hours. That's another sign. And then like two more signs is, like, I'm looking if she's eaten. If she hasn't eaten in the entire day, then I know that she's probably gonna be having the puppies, because they don't eat the day of. As well, she may be nesting. She's trying to, like, rake up leaves or whatever, and trying to find an area to nest to have the puppies. So I just told you like four different things that I look
Yep,
at. That's almost like a foolproof way that I
yep.
know, okay, we're going to be having puppies.
And
So Mhm.
panting too.
Yes,
Yep,
panting, exactly.
yep.
Yep, panting.
Hmm.
And actually, I want to say about 6 hours before she's actually really going to go into full blown labor, you'll see the equivalent of like her water break, which
Yep.
is the mucus plug come out. So it's like it's like muc. Yeah, it looks like a discharge coming out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So those are all the signs I'm looking for. And once we get closer to where she's naturally gonna have her puppies, that's where then for my breed, I take her to go get a C-section. But for other breeders, like I said, if you have natural whelp, then you're gonna be kind of on alert, just to make sure, hey, she's gonna be having her puppies. Let's make sure we don't go on vacation, we don't go, anywhere, whatever. We're gonna stay home and keep an eye on the dog. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, so that's really essentially the beginning, and then once she starts, if you get a C-section, it's kind of easy. They're gonna remove all the puppies. But if it's a natural whelp, what I like to do is after I believe she's had all the puppies, I do an ultrasound to check if there's any heartbeats or anything left behind.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the scariest thing is you don't, especially if you don't know how many puppies are in there. So if you're gonna do a natural whelp, I would almost recommend getting like an x-ray done so you can count how many calcified skeletons are in her, and then okay, there's 8. So if I don't see 8 come out and I only see 5, all right, we may have a problem. So you can do that, or like I said, I mean, I'll do an ultrasound after she had the puppies just to make sure there's no puppies there, and that's
Right.
essentially that's how the whole thing kind of starts. And then now you got a puppy, so you should have beforehand had a whelping box, a whelping setup ready to go.
Hmm.
And I don't want to go on a tangent too much because obviously, as you can see, I can do that very easily.
Yeah, that's all right.
But what I will say is, and this is at least this is new information for me divulging to the world,
Hmm.
is I had been so back and forth about, there's some breeders who ask me, hey, do you leave the puppies in the incubator when they're born and you just put them on mama from time to time, every 2 hours or whatever? Some people ask me, they say, hey, do you leave them in the whelping box? Like, what do you do? And I had been conflicted for quite some time because you can get some bad mothers that aren't really that great, and then you can get some great mothers.
Hmm.
So the conclusion that I've came to is that I give all my mothers a chance, for their natural instincts to kick in. Because if she does all the work for you, it's going to make your life a million times easier. But
Facts.
if you strip her of being able, if you strip her of that opportunity, then you don't know, and now you're becoming mama, and every 2 hours you're taking care of these puppies just like as if you had a newborn child,
Yeah.
So for me, the conclusion I've come to is, and especially people have to understand when it comes to a C-section, if you get a C-section done, the mother is still like 24 hours after, she still like doesn't know necessarily what happened. And if you did a C-section kind of relatively early, like you could have pushed it a day or like 12 hours or something like that, she's going to she's not, like I said, she's not going to realize really that she had the puppies like that. So you have to kind of create that bond for her with them. Those instincts have to kick in. So
Right.
that's where I do little cheats, like for example, I'll put peanut butter on the puppy's like butts and things like that so that she licks them and she starts forming a bond with them. So in the first 24 to 48 hours, that's like I'm with them nonstop trying to create that bond, so then the work isn't so much on me, and I mean she can do what nature has designed her to do. So that's my answer. I don't believe that puppies should stay in an incubator if the mom is a good mom, but you also have to kind of help her um for the instincts to kick in. And it always amazes me when I put the peanut butter on the puppy's butt and she starts licking it and she's like, wait a second, this is right, I'm supposed to be doing this. And then all
Hmm.
of a sudden she starts doing it on her own. It's like it amazes me how like nature put that in her, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so hopefully that answers your question. I don't know, I know I
Yeah.
went
No.
on a
No.
whole
It,
weed
it
with that.
did. It did. I did want to go back and just kind of warn people about the mothers coming out of anesthesia. Being that
Yeah,
we do a lot of natural births, we might have to do a C-section, and
yeah.
so it's the first 24 hours is a little crazy. You be like worried about mom. What's wrong with her? She won't feed her
Oh
puppies.
yeah.
You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
yeah.
So
I
yeah.
mean, what I would say is, yeah, like I mean, so yeah, we could talk a little bit more about that in the sense that like people don't realize, like, yeah, like if she had a C-section and she had that anesthesia, she doesn't
Hmm.
really realize what happened. She
Hmm.
All she knows is she went to sleep, she woke up, and there's these little things sucking on her.
Yeah.
So depending on the type of female you have, it's not uncommon I've seen it happen plenty of times where the female gets aggressive and attacks the puppies, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't fault her for that because she doesn't know, she didn't know what happened. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So that's where in the first 24 to 48 hours, it's about establishing that bond that she realizes, okay, these are her own. You know?
Right. 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 And another thing you said too is going back and making sure all the puppies are out, because in my experiences, I can go get them, checked and maybe get a little count on them and everything. They might tell me it's 6 in there. It's always more.
Yeah.
And then- what I did used to get them checked out, the post checkup. Man, I had a puppy fall out a day later. So
Oh
it's
wow.
it's very important to get that
Yeah. See?
check for sure, for sure. But let me ask you this too.
Okay.
When are you introducing mama to the whelping area, and what the whelping area gonna look like?
So yeah, so when whelping time comes, like I said, I know I was all over the place with my first response, but with the whelping box area, so I like having a nice, and it also depends on your breed, how much space you want to give them. I like a nice
Yeah.
4x4 for my dogs. My dogs are can range between very small and medium sized dogs, so
Uh-huh.
I like a 4x4 area,
Right.
and usually I want to say like the last week before she's ready to have them, maybe even 2 weeks if you really want to be proactive.
Hmm.
At night we're taking her in there. During the day we're taking her in there, but at night we're letting her sleep in there, and we're allowing her to start thinking and realizing, okay, maybe this is like my new crate. You know what I'm saying? Because my dogs are all crate trained, so
Hmm.
she's sleeping in there now, and she's getting familiar with that area. You know,
Right.
and basically, so when the puppies are born, she already feels at home. Another thing that people underestimate is having pig rails. So your whelping area, I've seen people do kiddie pools with like one of those puppy gates around it.
Right.
I've seen people do all kinds of stuff. If you see my latest video that I posted on YouTube, like I said, I have a little fancy 4x4. But you could also get, those are like they're man, the compost bins for gardens. It's
Yeah.
made out of this vinyl, like that for like the outside fences, that white stuff.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So they make a compost bin that is made out of that material so that
Uh-huh.
you can set it up and it's a 4x4. But then when you're done, you can take it outside, power wash it, whatever, and then put it away. So
Right.
you can get creative, is what I'm saying. But
Hmm.
we put mama in there, we get her used to it. So then by the time the puppies are born, um, she's already acclimated. But make sure you have pig rails because
Gotta
pig
have.
rails is going to prevent all a pig rail is picture, if you have this box that you're keeping mama in with the puppies, it's just
Mhm.
a perimeter that goes around the box that basically is it's like, think of it almost as like, I guess, like a shelf. I'm trying to
Right.
explain it. Like it's almost like a shelf, and basically when mama, if this is the shelf, right, and it's maybe a few inches above the ground, the puppies can go underneath the shelf. But when
Right.
mama lays down because she's tired, she's shot, she's been taking care of puppies, when she lays down, that puppy underneath is protected by the shelf because
Right.
sometimes mothers can smother their puppies. So a pig rail is essential. And yeah, that's kind of what we do for when it comes to whelping.
Matter of fact, I'll show them one if the people don't know.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Can y'all see that
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah.
over here on the
Yeah.
right? See if I can blow that up. Oh shit, that didn't work. What happened to it? Okay, all right. We went to the American Kennel Club. Okay,
But
but y'all get the pick.
yeah,
So
all they have to do is Google pig
yeah,
rail and they'll
right,
see exactly what it is. Yeah.
right, right. So any supply, hey, we're gonna get into this later. Well, I'm asking a supply question. This dude is the supply man. This dude is the
Yeah.
plug when it comes to this weapon stuff. That's your
Yeah.
new nickname I just gave you, the plug. When
The
it comes to
plug.
this dog. But so is there any? I know we got different breeds, but you could talk to the breed you mostly familiar with, or
Yeah.
what you think would be just fit across the board. What kind of what kind of stuff we're going to have to assist us? What do you want to? What's in the breeder's toolbox
I
when it
want
comes to
to.
whelping?
So, like, what I want to say is, I don't believe that that's just something that like you create this master list and you just buy everything. I think it's kind of like, all right, so I'm gonna give you an example. Is like my father. He's a handyman,
Mm-hmm.
and I look at all his tools and I said, so listen, I just purchased my own home. What tools should I buy? And he said, I would recommend all of these, but this took me over the course of 20 years to acquire all these things. So
Mm-hmm.
what I would say is similar in the sense of with your dog breeding equipment. You start off with as much of the essentials as possible, but over time you slowly acquire all the little tools that you may need to get certain specific jobs done, because you may have 10 litters that pass by and you never have an issue, and then next thing you know, on the 10th litter you have an issue where a puppy needs oxygen, and you're like, oh man, I don't have an oxygen machine. So now in that particular situation, maybe you purchase the oxygen machine. So that's kind of what I did. Like, I slowly acquired things as they came along, or when I started having issues with certain things, I acquired different um uh supplies,
Right.
and slowly grew the things that I own. But as far as the very basics, because I think they're all essential. I think having an
Mm-hmm.
oxygen machine is huge. I think having a puppy scale is a must. I think having a neonatal
Oh
suction
yeah.
machine, like,
Right.
so there's different things, but it's almost like, as I think as you progress over time, you just slowly acquire these things. But what I will say is, to answer your question of like what I feel like somebody starting out
Mm-hmm.
must have, or even if this is someone who's been breeding, and what they should have no excuses starting out, is definitely a puppy scale. Like, a puppy scale, there's no question about it, because that's really one of the only few ways you can tell if a puppy is healthy or not, like if the puppy is growing, because you can't, if I showed you a puppy that was 100 grams and I showed you a puppy that was 90 grams, you couldn't visually see the difference between 10 grams. But if the
Mm-hmm.
puppy's losing 10 grams, and I would challenge somebody, like, take a water bottle and take out 10 grams and you'll see it on the scale, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we really indicate if puppies are making good progress, is they're
You
going up in
got
weight.
to weigh them. You got to
Yeah,
weigh
so a
them.
puppy scale is like that, is like no if, ands, or buts. And I
Mm-hmm.
know a great place that you could get one if you don't have one. Breedershacks.com.
There we go. There we
So,
go.
but yeah, so I would say that's one. I would say puppy scale is huge. Um, I would say having, like, your heat source, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I believe it or not, again, if we're talking about someone just starting, I've had breeders contact me and say, "Oh, well, the room is hot. I have the heat on. It's about like 80 degrees in here. It's super hot in this room."
Mm-hmm.
Newborn puppies, I mean, their temperature, they can't regulate their body temperature, so they need to be kept at least like 85 to 90 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the breed. I would say the bigger the breed, you might be able to be on the lower end of that, around the
Right.
85, but the smaller the breed, they usually need to be more warmer, like on the 90s. And it also depends on the area that you have. But yeah, heat source is huge.
How
So
how do you know when you're giving them too much heat?
I kind of took the methodology that I learned from reptiles and I applied it to my dogs. So I used to, like, breed snakes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe in, when you have a whelping box, you create a basking spot. So you
Right.
have a spot that is at the optimal temperature, right? So I have
Mm-hmm.
a basking spot. I have a heat lamp somewhere laying around. And do I have it there actually? Here, let me show you. Yeah.
Okay.
This is it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a heat lamp right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this heat lamp is clamped on to this fixture that I have outside of the whelping box. And when it's on, I have, oh man. All right. Let me show you this one last thing.
Yeah, you good, brother.
All right.
He cooking, y'all. He cooking.
This is super helpful. I think this is
Mhm.
another one that everybody should buy.
I got
All
one.
right.
Yeah.
Temperature gun. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
A temperature gun. You could buy these for 10 to 15 bucks from Harbor Freight, from Home Depot, things like that, right? And simply all you do is you pull the trigger and it tells you where the temperature at the surface temperature is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So With the heat lamp, I make sure that I set it to about around like 90 degrees, right? That's the
Mhm.
hottest spot in the whelping box. Now,
Mhm.
if it gets too hot, what you can do is you can buy yourself like a controller. They sell like a controller for reptiles that
Mhm.
allows you to put a probe anywhere you want, and that probe will turn on and off the heat lamp, you know? But long story short, I pick one spot, and that's the basking spot. So that's the hottest spot possible. And
Mhm.
then the rest further away, on the opposite side of the whelping box should be around, it's usually around like 70 something. It's like room temperature. It's like
Right.
70. So they can self-regulate. They can go
Mhm.
over to the hot side after they just drank some milk and
Yep.
they want to digest. They can go over to the cool side if they feel like they got too hot. And I allow
Right.
and that's how kind of I allow them to regulate their own temperature. So you have to have a big enough space. And again, the only way I don't want to hear it that you just have the thermostat set in a room and it's just hot in the room. Because even if it was optimal temperature in the room, they have no way to escape if it's too hot.
Right.
So yeah, so
Right.
having a basking spot and being able to check the temperature is huge. So
Yep.
that's what I do for heat. And heat's
Right.
important. I just want to touch on one thing with heat.
Mhm.
A lot of people they ask me, should I use a heating pad? Should I use a heat lamp? Should I use some type of space heater, whatever?
Mhm.
Over time, I've used all these things, and I feel like a heat lamp is probably the best because I used to use heating pads, and the problem is it forces the puppy to want to lay down flat. But the heat lamp causes the puppies to want to lay on their backs facing up. So you're less likely to get a flat chest puppy if the puppy isn't always throwing its weight completely down on the ground trying to get all that warmth. So
Mhm.
I prefer a heat lamp, you know. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
So let's talk about cleaning
Okay.
and how the mom interacts with the puppies during the first 2 to 3 weeks. What do you think about that?
Let me just turn this down. You're saying cleaning as far as like
Yeah, how
the
much do you
whelping
got to help
box?
the yeah, the whelping as far as the whelping box, and kind of explain what mama's gonna be doing the first two
Okay.
to 3 weeks.
So um so
Because for
yeah,
me, I'm gonna try to kind of guide you where I'm going with it. To
okay.
me, the first few weeks are the easiest because the mom, she
Oh
just
yeah.
does so much for the pups. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah,
So
it's
so
after
this
week
is
3
where
where
it
I'm like,
gets this is
yeah,
where it gets tough, right? So
mhm,
like when we talk about natural whelp versus C-section,
right,
um when we talk about a good mother versus a bad mother,
mhm,
when you're in a breed that it's ideal that the mom does all the work for you and she has her natural whelp and all these things, the only thing that I've found is that sometimes if you don't have those tricky litters, then you're so unprepared when say something does go wrong and mama like say a puppy gets stuck or whatever, you're almost like you have no idea what to do. So that's
mhm,
why it's like I tell people, even if you're in those breeds where it's like they do everything for you, she naturally pushes them out and everything like that, it's still a good idea to kind of like check out the content, like for example what we do where we're dealing with a breed that's a little bit more tricky when they're first born. We have to do C-sections and things like that.
mhm,
So that then if you ever find yourself in that situation, even if you don't breed a breed that necessarily always needs a C-section, at least you
mhm.
know what to look for. So I
True.
just tell people sometimes like I almost get afraid. I get nervous. Like I had a friend of mine, he had a litter and it went super smoothly. And I told him, I said, I'm almost afraid for you because it's not when it goes smoothly. It's when things kind of get a little rough that it's like, oh wow, I didn't realize this, and that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
So
right.
yeah, the best thing to do is just like I said, educate yourself in case things go south.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
as far as the cleaning goes, I mean, or I can just kind of generally talk about like the first week is
Mhm,
I don't even consider them puppies. They're really like mini vegetables,
mhm,
They're not really, their eyes aren't open. They're not doing really much. They're just eating and sleeping.
mhm.
And in the first week or two, especially the first week, your mortality rate is at its highest.
Oh
Meaning, if
yeah.
you're gonna lose a puppy, if a puppy's gonna die on you, and I hate to sound like the bearer of bad news, but it's gonna be usually within the first week.
Mhm,
So it's like the first week, I'm on high alert because I'm looking for anything that I can nip in the butt as early as possible because the puppies are so young and in the first week, puppies they don't get skinny and kind of pass away on you like a human would or like a dog would. You know, we get skinny first, malnutrition from not eating or whatever, being sick, and then we pass. A puppy, by the time you realize that they lost weight, it's already too late. The puppy's gonna be
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah, you just go
So
in there like, damn, you know.
yeah. So the
Yeah.
first week, yeah, mama's gonna be doing a lot for you, ideally. But if not, then you're obviously feeding them every 2 to 3 hours, maybe in 4 hours. And she's cleaning them. She's licking their genitals. Right. When I first got into breeding, I was like, whoa, I never knew that. You know, the puppies can't go to the bathroom on their own. So mama's
Mm,
licking their genitals to make them poop, make them pee. And she's really like she'll if you have a good mom, she'll do everything. You know, she'll clean
mhm,
up. Like I said, you really won't see any pee or poo because she's licking it all up. You know,
mhm.
but that also leads to the breeding of parasites and things like that because all she's doing is licking up urine and feces, you know.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why you'll have to deworm them later on. But yeah, the first week is just like that's what we're really focusing on is just monitoring their weights, making sure like you asked, keeping it clean, right? So every so often we take puppies out, we take mama out. Mama needs to also make sure that she's getting stretching. You know, she's outside, she's moving around, she
Right.
gets a little bit of a break from the puppies, right?
Right.
And one other thing I'll also mention is I notice with newer breeders is that they tend to forget about mama and they are more fixated on the new puppies that they have.
That's
And I
right.
just I even just did a video on this literally on Sunday talking about you should never be picking up a puppy. This is what my mentor taught me. You should never be picking up a puppy just for the sake of picking it up. Just to look at it and say, "Oh, this is a beautiful color. Look at the color of this
Right.
dog." No, when you go to the hospital and you have a child, what do they do? Every time the doctor or a nurse or whoever is there looking at your child, there's some purpose, there's some reason to it. You know,
Mhm.
you can visually look and see what color the dog is, but while you're doing that, you should also be looking at, hey, is its gums nice and pink? You know, is there any discolorment? Is it breathing normal? Is
Mhm.
it coughing? Is it wheezing? You know, you're observing other things than just what the puppy looks like, you know? And
Right.
that's what they would
Right.
do at like a hospital. So yeah,
Right.
so the first week, like I said, it's all about um their vegetables. They're just eating and sleeping and there's I'll save it for later. I'll save it for later. There's something else I want
Okay.
to mention.
Well,
Save it
let
for
me
later.
ask you this.
They're
As
just eating
far
and
as like,
sleeping the first week. Yeah.
yeah. But you know, you got a new mom. Do you do things like maybe hold her? I know you do. You said the peanut butter. Uh, well, yeah, you already covered that. Where you kind of
Hmm.
stimulate them. I know I'll put the butt up and let her lick them. How
Yeah.
much help? How much help should we give mom? How hands on should we be? Uh, on a first time mother.
So that's what's so funny is like especially in certain breeds, I feel like people like to they want to intervene too much. They want to kind of like you know, in certain aspects, like they'll want to take all the puppies and put them on the nipples of the mom, you know, because oh, it looks like the puppies can't get to the nipples. No, you just got to give the puppies a little bit of time, and they'll do it on their own, you know. Um, so when it comes to human intervention, I really try to now, and this is what I believe in now. I really kind of try to minimize it. You know, I
Mhm.
try to minimize it as far as like if she's cleaning them, I'm not gonna hold them up there and clean them. I'll let her clean them. You know, a good mother, as a good mother will know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But I guess what I would say is in the beginning, it goes down to that 24 to 48 hour thing. In the first
Mhm.
24 to 48 hours, yeah, I'm making sure she's bonding with them. I'm making sure she's cleaning them. But then after that, and especially like in the breeds where they naturally whelp, like your breed and stuff like that.
Mhm.
After the first 24 to 48 hours, it's almost like she should be able to be left alone with them, and you really shouldn't have to do anything. You know,
Right. Right.
but take care of her. You know, obviously
Right.
you just take care of her, and she'll take care of them. That in an ideal setting, you should just be able to take care of the mother, and the mother will take care of the puppies. Meaning, like especially if a female just had a C-section, she's not usually going to want to eat. So what you got to do is give her like Greek yogurt, vanilla Greek yogurt, or plain Greek yogurt, ice cream, vanilla ice cream. Something about the cold, that coldness mixed with the food, causes them to like they'll want to eat it. Sometimes you could give them some NutriCal. Like I'll take some NutriCal and just put it right in their mouth.
Yeah, the
But
calf chocolate.
you want her to get those calories.
Hmm.
Otherwise, she might not be able to produce enough milk. But yeah,
Right.
first week the puppies are vegetables. They're not doing anything. They're eating, sleeping. That's it. And if they're crying a lot, then that's a different story. You may have a problem. But for the most part, in an ideal scenario, mama's taking care of everything and they're eating and sleeping.
Okay. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Let's go like week 2, 3, what to expect, then no.
Yeah, so week 2, you usually see the eyes start to open, and it's crazy because I actually just did a segment, like I did an episode on every single week, and I took
Oh, you did?
like,
Okay,
and
cool.
yeah, I take the litter with you, so like yeah, you see the litter progress. So week 2, yeah, their eyes start to open. You see them moving around much more. They're not walking around yet, but they're crawling, dragging themselves around a lot more. And it's similar to week 1, but they're still just eating and sleeping, but they're a little bit more hardier, I guess you could say. That's the best way to articulate it, is they become much more hardier. And like I said, their eyes will start to open around 2.5 weeks. And as long as you have a good system flowing, um you kind of just keep going as is. So week 1 and week 2. So now if week 1 was like my red zone, week 2 is like, okay, I'm still a little on edge, but we're not necessarily in the worst part of it anymore. And it's
Right.
kind of like, as they get older, you're gradually, until you get to a point where it's like, all right, it's very unlikely that you're gonna lose a puppy.
Right.
At week 2, what you're really looking for, if there's any issues, is usually like upper respiratory infections.
Right.
So like if the puppy drank too much milk, and like, you ever drink something and then like you laugh or something and something comes out your nose or
Yeah,
whatever,
man.
like
Yeah.
you just went down the wrong pipe.
Right.
Yeah, similar to that, like trying to make it sound very simple, but yeah, they can get an upper respiratory infection. I mean, just like humans, and it
Right.
can turn into pneumonia.
Right.
I had the flu and they told me it could have turned into pneumonia. It can
Mhm.
happen. So that's what you're looking for, is you're going to pick up the puppy and be holding it next to your ear, and you're going to be listening to its breathing. It should be very fluent. It should be clear of any kind of congestion. You hear congestion, you may have an upper respiratory infection. The other thing too is you're usually looking at mama, making sure she's good, feeling her mammary glands, making sure they're not really hard at week 2. Again, another thing is mastitis is common.
Yeah.
Where she can get an infection in
Yeah.
her mammary glands, with milk that's clotted in there or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And what I just tell people is make sure, um, every breed's different, but keep an eye on your puppy's nails
Nails. Yep.
very very early on, because yeah,
Mhm.
they're going to be scratching, right? They're going to be scratching her mammary glands to get milk, and they're like, because it's like a they put their little paws up on mama when they're trying to drink and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
you got to keep an eye on their claws, as well as, not only can they scratch mama and cause an infection, but they can also scratch each other. And that's why
Yep.
you might see a puppy with a blown up eye looking like this with pus inside, you
Mhm.
know so
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, that's just some of the general things, most common things I see around at that age, is at 2 weeks.
Them nails are important, man, because they like
Yeah.
little razors. And then
Yes. And
plus that
yeah.
you can get them desensitized to nail clippings. Go ahead and start getting into them early so
Yeah.
they can some I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in. Can you address swimmer legs?
So swimmer's legs. So it's like, you kind of have to be careful with the swimmer's legs, because I feel like some people have misdiagnosed swimmer's legs. And like, for example, like I know this one guy, he thought his dog had swimmer's legs, but the puppy was just really heavy, and actually was suffering from a flat chest. Where flat chest is kind of different. Flat chest is the puppy's like chest starts to kind of sink in because the puppy's so heavy. But with swimmers, I mean, typically what you're supposed to do is, you can take, like, say this is the dog's legs. You're supposed to be able to tape the legs like this. Let me see. You tape the legs like this, like pretend like this is tape. So then
Mhm.
they start using their back legs to strengthen their back legs, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
you tape them like this. You don't tape them together, but you tape them outwards like this, and you pinch the tape in between, and then now it'll start causing them to strengthen their their rear legs, you know. So that's usually what we do, like taping the legs up. But I would
What's it?
also be looking for, I would pick up the puppy and feel its chest, because
Mhm.
sometimes the puppies are just so heavy, and they're actually causing themselves to have flat chest. And then when you put the flat chest kit on,
Mhm.
because we sell that on Breeders Hacks.
Hey, the plug, he got it.
Really? And you'd be surprised though. You know what's crazy is, like, this is what I love. I love what I do, because there's so many breeds. I get to talk to so many different breeds, and you would think that flat chest is just like a brachycephalic thing. You would think it would just be bulldogs, French bulldogs, American bullies. No, I've seen golden doodles that had flat chests. I've seen Labradors that had flat chests. You know, and the people are reaching out to me saying, "Hey, I need this overnighted." So it can happen really in any breed. Um, so that's why you want to be careful with the swimmers and with the flat chest. You want to be careful that your puppies aren't they're not getting too heavy, you know.
Right.
And usually, I could be wrong, but this is just my theory, is that it usually happens more so with the puppies that are on like supplemented milk, meaning, like, say
Mhm.
mama wasn't producing enough milk, so I'm bottle feeding everybody, and now this puppy can eat until uh, until it can't hold no more, you know. And
Right.
it's usually from like the overfeeding, the puppy being so heavy, you know. But you know,
In
that's,
your breed,
yeah.
how soon are they walking?
I want to say, so a few things, right? So
Okay.
I met this German Shepherd breeder, right? And he's world renowned. He actually goes over to Germany and shows his dogs and all that stuff, right?
Mhm.
And he was explaining to me the importance of traction when puppies are very young. He said a
Mhm.
lot of people want to judge, like, say that this breed is known for having bad hips, but oftentimes the bad hips, at least from my dogs, come from the owners. So I was like, huh. So I tried this new mat, and it's like a very soft mat. It's like a
Mhm.
almost like a cotton on top, but it has a lot of traction to it right out the
Okay.
gate. Right, like they
Yeah.
were on it right when they were born. It has more. It's softer than a towel, but has more traction than one, if
Right.
that makes sense. And
Right.
long story short is, like, my puppy's around, I want to say, like, almost like 3 weeks, like very early, maybe even, yeah, like I want to say like 3 weeks, maybe even a little bit earlier. They were already starting to move on their own, and I
Right.
noticed that their movement looked like really good. And I think a lot of it was attributed to that surface that I put them on when they were first born.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that making sure you use a surface that has a whole lot of traction is going to help allow their body to grow the way it needs to, and almost maybe help almost prevent slight, I don't want to say deformities, but like slight the dog is moving the right way, I guess you could say. It has enough
Right.
traction to do that. So oftentimes you'll also find puppies that are swimmers, for example, if we go back to swimmers, when they're on a very uh, uh a surface with no traction, right?
Mhm.
So say
Mhm.
somebody has them just in some kiddie pool that has no, it's just flat, you know, and it's very slippery, you know.
Mhm.
So this type of surface you have is huge, and this, you could call it coincidence, but those puppies that I had on that mat actually winded up having the best movement I've ever produced out of my dogs.
Really?
So yeah, so you know, it could be a theory, but like I said, after speaking to him, and he's been doing this since, I don't even know, since
No,
like the
no,
1950s.
right. I totally trust it because I've noticed if they get some good gripping in there,
Yeah,
like I had 2 litters about 2 months ago. They were
yeah.
walking within a week.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You see,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so yeah, like I said, I'm trying to remember, but I know for my litter, they were walking very early. You know, they
Uh-huh.
were walking very
Yeah.
early. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you'll see that depending on, yeah, the type of litters that you have, the type of dogs that you have. It may be a week, it may go all the way up to like 3 weeks, you know. But yeah, I think it would, if I had to guess, I think it was like maybe 2.5, maybe like 2.5 that they started
Okay.
walking.
Yeah.
Um, but mine are, you know, super small.
Right, right.
So yeah, so one thing that is like, this is like, if anybody was taking any kind of notes or anything like that, this may be like one of the biggest gems I'll share right now when it comes to whelping puppies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an acronym. It's an acronym that my mentor gave me, and it's called He's Up, right? So it's called He's Up, meaning heat, eat, sleep, urine, poop. Those are the 5 things that you need to be monitoring when a puppy is about 1 to 2 weeks old, and really, I mean, all the way through. But really, those are the things you're looking for. Heat, right? You want to make sure that you have sufficient heat. We kind of just covered that. If you have, you should never have puppies that are crying, especially frequently. Something is wrong, and if you don't address it, I'm just gonna be blunt. You're gonna have puppies dying on you. So
Mm-hmm.
heat. Um, Let me see. Eat, right? So the puppy should be eating, and they should be
Mm-hmm.
going up in weight. That's
Mm-hmm.
where we use a scale. Sleep. The puppy should be sleeping damn near all the time, especially the first week. My puppies, that when I used this whelping box setup that I use now, I mean, they were asleep all the time. I was like, holy cow! Like I was so amazed with how comfortable they were because they had everything they needed. So there was no need for them to cry, whine, any of those things like that. So they were extremely a quiet litter for the first week or two. Um, he eat, sleep, urine, and poop, right? So the urine should look like urine. There's blood in
Mm-hmm.
it or anything like that, you have a big problem. You may need to go to your vet, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for poop. Poop, you'll have your marconium in the beginning, which is a
Mm-hmm.
really tarry kind of poo. That's why one of my mentors, what he does is he gives them an enema to just flush that out. But
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, the poo should be semi-solid. It shouldn't be super diarrhea.
Right.
And yeah, I mean that's kind of the acronym that I ran with. So
That's a good one,
um,
man. That's a
yeah,
good one.
He's Up. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I credit that one to him. But yeah, I'm telling you, if you monitor those 5 things and those 5 things are good, the likelihood of you having an issue with a puppy is like very, 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 very low. Very, very low.
One thing you said uh, when you first get started, the mo- the biggest thing about weapons is nervousness and
Hmm.
having that somebody you can call. How
Yeah.
important is mentorships, and who have been some of the best mentors for you?
Yeah, so I want to say like I have like a solid 3 mentors. So I have one mentor that has educated me on really like the reproduction side and the medicine side. Another mentor that he just understands my breed very well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of like he understands what the breed looks like, how it should look like, so on and so forth, and can critique my dogs. And
Mm-hmm.
then I had the first mentor that really kind of got me into these dogs. He bred the same dogs, but he really helped give me the psychology that I needed in order to be able to breed these dogs. So I was pretty very well rounded based off of the 3 mentors that I had,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say that there's no way possible
Mm-hmm.
I would be where I'm at today if it wasn't for my mentors.
Right. Yeah.
It's just to me it'd be impossible. It'd be impossible. And I think having a mentor is extremely huge because like one of the things that I like to do is we rate our dogs on a rating system.
Mm-hmm.
On 1 to 10 on different like on breed type and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I recommend people is I'm like, hey, if you have dogs that you think look good or decent or you want to breed or whatever, reach out to someone who is at the top of your breed and say, hey, can you rate my dog on 1 to 10 based off of, breed type, breed character, the silhouette, um, the and a few other things, head shape, things like that, and just like, hey,
Right.
rate my dog overall and tell me what you think is good about my dog or what is bad,
Right.
and as well as a newbie, you should be making a mental note of what you already think the dog is at, and now
Mm-hmm.
when you hear somebody who's at kind of the top of your breed, and if it's far away, then you know that you got a lot of work to do. And if it's really close in what you thought the dog was and what they're saying the dog was, then you're developing a really good eye for dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, a mentor, it's huge. It's priceless. Honestly, it's priceless. Like for me, um I would have paid for the knowledge that my mentors have gave me. But like for example, all I did was like with my first mentor, I just provided value. I just said, hey, can I come by? I'll help you clean up dogs or whatever. I just want to be able to have a
Yeah.
conversation with
Yeah.
you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it turned
Yeah.
out to be priceless because not
Right.
only did it help elevate my breeding program, but I mean, I also turned it into a business, you know?
That's right. And you
So,
and look,
yeah.
you spit it back at them. And I want to say, if you don't understand the power of mentorship, maybe one day you should open a business.
Yeah.
When you have a mentor, it helps you cut down on mistakes,
Yeah.
costly mistakes that could
A
end
million
you.
percent.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the
Like
power of mentorship.
it's one of those things that it's like again, like even just somebody watching this, right? This is a form of like mentorship to a degree. They're trying to
Hmm.
learn from someone else, and it's like um this is information that you don't get from having 1 to 2 litters. If I can tap into someone's knowledge base that has had, say, hundreds of litters, now that's going to really save me time. And what I've learned in dog breeding is we're kind of against time. We're battling against time because we're trying to produce something, but the thing that the one variable is time.
Wow.
We have to
Yeah.
wait till females are ready to be bred. We have to
Hmm.
wait till puppies are able to grow up.
Hmm.
And it's our biggest battle is time. So with a mentor, it can save you a whole lot of time, which will get you to where you want to be a whole lot faster. So yeah, I just think I think a mentor is priceless, absolutely
Right.
priceless. Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you about this. And hey everybody, I'm gonna get to the questions in a minute.
They're
I
like,
know
we've been waiting, we've been
they
waiting.
chomping at the bit, boy. Well, so y'all start going get them in. I'm gonna ask my kind of last question for him, and I'm
Okay.
gonna let y'all have it. Uh, Pre-birth, what kind of supplements are we doing giving mom? What the mom diet looking like?
So, I don't go too crazy changing up her diet. So,
Hmm.
what I do is, so here's the biggest mistake I tell people is you can't wait until you confirm that the dog is pregnant to want to, like, for example, do a prenatal. To me, it's like, all right, if I wait till 30 days to confirm that she's pregnant, then give her a prenatal, she's already halfway through the pregnancy. Don't you want her to have those vitamins and nutrients prior to like the fetuses being developed? Don't you want her to have everything she needs in order to develop these fetuses properly?
Hmm.
And I realized the power of prenatals when a close relative of mine didn't take prenatals, and the baby sucked out all the nutrition from her teeth, and they rotted out and fell out.
Wow.
So we're all mammals. So if that can happen to a human, why can that not happen to a dog? And maybe that's just something visual that we can see. What
Hmm.
if there's certain storages of nutrients that are being taken from mama and not and given to the puppies, but now mama's depleted? I mean,
Hmm.
a great example is eclampsia, where she's so low in calcium, she gets the shakes or whatever, and the next thing you know, she can go on you. She can
Yeah.
pass on you. So I believe in to answer your question, uh I start them on a prenatal right out the gate, like right after we do our breeding. I start them on a prenatal,
Hmm.
and I give that to them all the way up until she has her puppies. So now what some people may say is, well, what if she's not pregnant? Okay, well, no harm, no foul. I mean, she just got like an extra vitamins for this short period of time, but I'd rather pay the $50 or whatever it costs and have her on the prenatal all throughout,
Hmm.
rather than to wait just because I didn't want to give her something until I knew she was pregnant, and she's already halfway through her pregnancy.
Right.
So I do a prenatal, and the one that I use is the Repronatal,
Hmm.
and again, we have it on the site. But you can find it, you find it Amazon anywhere.
Okay.
And with Repronatal, I like that it has a high amount of folic acid. There have been different breeders, different studies that they say folic acid is super beneficial in preventing deformalities and things like that.
Yep.
And I
Cleft palate.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And some people say, "Oh no, it doesn't," and blah 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 and all this stuff. But I mean, hey, if a doctor is prescribing a woman that's pregnant prenatals, then why shouldn't your dog be able to have prenatals? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so typically I like the one that we use has a high amount of folic acid, and it's known to prevent deformities and things like that.
Hmm.
And then basically she's on her regular food and the prenatal. That's really it. That's really it. Then as she gets closer to having her puppies, I want to say a couple weeks, maybe like 1 or 2 weeks, maybe like 1 or 2 weeks, typically maybe like the last week. I'm switching her food to like more of like a puppy food. I'm now giving her puppy food. Typically for us at least, it's the same dog food, just a puppy version. So I'm
Right.
giving her the puppy version. And now what I'll do from time to time is I'll throw in some goat's milk, powdered goat's milk into the food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to just give her, to and I give that to her. And usually that's usually it, that's usually it, I don't do anything else really too crazy, you know.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, everybody, go ahead and get the questions in, and
All
let me
right.
see. It was something I was going to ask you. I forgot.
Oh, you
Maybe.
good. Well, what I'll just mention real quick is at
Yeah,
week 3, 4, 5, 6, and up, it gets easier. They start to
yeah,
become puppies at week 3. um they're still suckling on mama, but I like to have them off of mama by around like week 4. Like around week 4, I'm really trying to take them off of mama.
yeah.
At the end of week 4, they're already completely off of mama.
Right.
But yeah, at that point, like for me, I really like getting them on kibble as
Hmm.
soon as possible. Oh, mush, puppy mush.
Right.
Puppy mush is where you take dog food, you blend it up, put it in a tin, add some water to it, and they eat that. Some people go crazy with the recipes. To me, I'm just like, that kind of looks like a recipe for disaster, because if you're adding
Yeah,
all these things in, you're
yeah.
adding all these things in, you don't know now, if you have an issue, you don't know what it was that caused it. So I
Right.
do believe in certain things are good that you can add in, like pumpkin and stuff, but I don't
Mm.
overcomplicate things,
No,
So
yeah. Keep it simple. Yeah.
yeah, so around week 3.5, I want to say, you can maybe start to introduce them mush. Start slowly introducing it to them, and you need to offer them water at the same time. Once you got them on that, the mortality rate drops again, meaning it gets lower. Like you're less likely for puppies to die now. Once they're on the mush. So we put them on mush, and then at that point, once they're on mush, like it's pretty much more smooth sailing. They start becoming more and more like dogs.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's kind of the whelping, sped up.
Man, we can. God, every time you say something, I can think of. Well, we're going to minister vaccinations.
Yeah, right.
It's a big topic. I'm probably going to wind up tagging some of your videos in the description box so we
Yeah.
can. But but this is just more of a basic thing. All right, guys, y'all ready? Tsunami. Is it common for Connie Corsos to need C-sections? I haven't had one before, but I'll
Uh,
tell you this: me owning them, I have had a C-section or 2 before.
oh wow.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think any and every breed of dog, even if it's a breed that I believe that the Cane Corso is a dog that most majority of the time has
Mhm.
natural litters. But
Right.
I think any breed of dog, something can happen. A puppy can get stuck, and you need to get a C-section, because if that puppy doesn't come out, then you risk losing the puppy. You risk losing. I'm speaking from experience. I had it happen.
Right.
Had a puppy get stuck, right? And what winds up happening is when a puppy gets stuck, you don't want to even see what that looks like. The puppy gets stretched out like a hot dog, because she's trying to push. She's trying to push, and it just stretches the whole puppy out. That puppy's gone.
Yep.
Then what happens is these puppies need to come out. So they're sacks. They're in little sacks. The sacks rupture. Now they get filled up with fluid, and they drown and die. So not
Okay.
only did you lose the puppy that got stuck, but now you lose all the puppies behind that puppy, and now you also are most likely going to lose mama, because the puppies inside of her will turn septic.
Yep.
So I believe that every breed, there is always a potential that it's rare, but it can happen that a dog may need to get a C-section. I think it's
Right.
just, I think it's just luck of the draw.
And I'm gonna tell you too, with these big dogs, hey guys, you're gonna have to do it because you're gonna have to sell your dog one day. Get your glove on. You're gonna have to
Yeah.
go up in there if you can feel that puppy and pull them out sometime.
Yeah, sometimes you can. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes you
sometimes,
can.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So I would just say what we talked about, right?
Hmm.
Check how many puppies before she has them, so then
Hmm.
you know if you're gonna need to intervene or not. Because you already know how many puppies are supposed to come out. And then, there is a little cheat code. You could use oxytocin. Oxytocin. A lot of breeders use oxytocin, and that's
Hmm.
supposed to help with contractions. It's supposed to help with her getting the puppies out very quickly. So
Right.
that's a little cheat code. Some people use oxytocin, but hey, if that doesn't work, then yeah, I mean, there is. I think it's important to know if there's still puppies in your dog or not. I think that's what it really comes down to.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Dogs dig raw. Mastiff type breeds are all moving towards C-sections. Those heads are getting too big to pass. You got a Border, don't you, bro?
Yeah, I got a Boro.
I think you got a Border from the homie, Jordan, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she was out of a litter of. It was something crazy. I think she was like in a litter of like 15 or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and what ended up happening was a puppy got stuck. So all her siblings died except for like 5 of them or something like that.
Oh, damn.
But
Okay.
but yeah, to what this person's saying, yeah, I mean, like mastiff type breeds, like the Borbal and stuff. Yeah, I see like the heads are getting so big that it's hard to pass them. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, I mean that's definitely true. But I've also seen dogs like very snipey type dogs like golden retrievers and stuff. Well, very snipey compared to my bullies at least. But those dogs, same thing. It's just something random can happen and the puppy gets stuck.
Right.
So, what if you have a water puppy, a random water puppy? The thing looks like, oh my goodness. Can you show them what a water puppy looks like?
Yeah, let me see.
Yo, show them what a water puppy. You get a water puppy, and maybe that thing gets stuck.
Right.
So it doesn't still like even if you breed for smaller heads, it doesn't get you out of that neck of the woods. There's always a chance you may need to get a C-section. It's
Right.
not super common, but it can happen. But yeah, I actually I had that happen. I had it happen before. I had water pups, and it looks and they don't know
Oh,
what causes it.
this about scaring me. Hold on, bro. Let me.
It's crazy, right? It was like a
Yeah,
walrus
yeah.
puppy. It
Like,
was like a
damn.
puppy that you took what is that, like one of them air pumps for a basketball and just
Right.
puffed up the puppy.
Look at this. Can you see it, bro?
Yeah, I can see it.
Is that accurate right there?
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So
One of them. This one here look like a baby seal.
no, I think that is a baby seal.
Oh, I was like, damn.
but but the ones on top, those are
Oh,
water
okay.
puppies. That looks
Yeah, like these
crazy,
right
right?
here. Yeah.
Looks crazy, right?
Man, it's nuts. Yeah, bro.
They don't know
God.
what causes it. They say it's like water retention. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That like you can be in a healthy breed, and I didn't realize this till afterwards. It's like you can be in a very healthy breed, and you'll still have random things just pop up. It happens in every breed. If you
Mhm.
believe that there's a breed out there that it doesn't happen to, trust me, I've been around enough breeds now to know that that's not the case.
Yeah.
But what you do afterwards, accordingly, whether it's you pet home certain dogs or whatever the case may be, you don't continue to breed those defects.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Angel dropping jewels. What's up, Big Face, Connie Corso?
Oh, he's cool, man. That's cute.
Yeah,
That's what's up,
Doug.
man.
They saluting Doug. He's the co-producer of this show. Doug
Oh,
Cobbs
okay.
at
That's
the
what's up.
DMV.
That's what's up.
Alpha Dog. Hey guys, new to the channel. Why is it that the females don't allow the males near the puppies when they're
Ooh,
first
that's a
born?
good question. I just talked to a breeder about this. This is
Mhm,
a good one.
mhm.
So, man, I gotta write that down. I'm gonna do an episode on this. All right.
Okay. Cool.
But I'll explain really quickly. So what happens is it's not just male dogs. If you notice, mama dog is usually not gonna allow any other dogs near her puppies. Now,
Mhm,
why is that, right? Well, when you've been breeding long enough, you'll hear of horror stories, right? Of other females or other dogs getting around the puppies and killing the puppies. It it,
mm,
it does happen, right?
yeah.
And we had bought I had a dog I coned with somebody, and I had bought a new female, and that female was staying over there with the co-owner and the new litter of puppies. So there was a new litter of puppies with mama and a new female that we purchased. So I get a phone call 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I see nothing but legs, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, what? I drive over there. What had happened was mama was outside using the bathroom. I think he went downstairs to do something with his kids or whatever. The female knew how to break out of the cage and she went and mauled the puppies. Right.
Damn. Yeah.
And that is actually it's horrific, but it does happen more common than people think. And when I
Mhm,
started doing research on this and I started speaking to different veterinary like the head of genetics and reproduction over at Penn, like they explained that it's like the wild, right? So wolves, there is a alpha female. She is the only one that is allowed to have puppies. The other females, they go through those pseudo pregnancies, right, where they don't have puppies but they produce
Mm-hmm.
milk, and it's to support the alpha female. So it's one of those things that it's an instinct, just like lions, where the males will kill their cubs. Basically, if a female, I believe at least, if a female is somewhat that thinks that they're an alpha female, they see another litter of puppies. I want only my genetics to be passed on, so they'll kill. It's an instinctual thing. It's not like, I don't think it's a training kind of thing. I think it's an instinctual kind of thing, and they'll go kill the puppies. And the mamas know this. So, in some way, shape, or form, instinctually, they know that I cannot allow any other dogs around my puppies, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why they get that way. It's all instincts, you know.
Right.
So even if something like that happens, I was very upset about it, and I was very upset with the co-owner, but um this is something that like, it's just in these dogs have it in their DNA to do that, you know. And I think
Right.
it dates back to nature and the wolves. Just like how these dogs know that they need to whelp and they need to clean up puppies and things like that, they also know that, hey, I'm the alpha female and I should be the only one having puppies around here. I'm going to get rid of these puppies because I'm the alpha female. And then the female who has the puppies is like, okay, I just had these puppies. I can't allow anything around these puppies because I know that any other dog will most likely try to kill these puppies. And then you
Mm-hmm.
also just get males that are kind of dumb and they'll come over and want to hold the puppy. But then when they hold the puppy in its mouth, sometimes they could puncture a hole in it or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
nature has a weird way of, you know, um, of how it works, you know. So that's what I believe. That's what I believe it is. I believe that
Right.
that's why mamas get aggressive about having any dogs near their puppies, because
Yeah.
they know that. It's kind of
Big.
interesting, right?
Yeah, it is. That's a big reason why I put my children around the moms when we bring them in, and I have my kids out there just rubbing and loving on her before she
Yeah,
has those babies. And while she is giving labor, my kids are still around. I don't want no accidents because I
yeah.
almost had an accident one time.
Wow.
But
You usually, if it's a good socialized dog, my
right,
females are great with my family. She could have a
yeah,
litter of puppies, and even with the anesthesia, she would my females would never
right,
even think about going near my son. You
right,
know, they'll
right,
let him in and everything. But
yeah.
if another dog gets around them, it
Hmm.
becomes a whole different story. And like I
Or
said,
somebody who's not in the family.
yeah,
I almost had one of those
exactly.
accidents
You know,
before, boy.
but
Ooh,
I had a breeder. She called me and she said the same thing. One of my dogs got loose and mauled the puppies, and she was like, she was devastated. And I kind of had to tell her, you know, exactly what I had to learn from it, and she was like, you know, okay. But it does happen. It does happen.
yeah,
You know, that's why
yeah,
you gotta. That's why people have, like, a lot of top breeders, including myself. They have whelping rooms, so
yep.
it's just a room
That's
for
it.
mama
Yep.
and the puppies, and no other dogs can get in there. You know,
Right.
there should be no other dogs around her.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
And she ideally want things dark, quiet, when she's
yeah,
going through, what I'm saying? Real peaceful area, you know.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
you don't want to do anything to, upset her. Every new breeder needs a good mentor. That's right, caveman's in the house.
Yeah.
Look at his profile picture.
Oh man.
Yeah. Uh Dylan, can I breed my APBT at 17 months?
Well, I would ask him. I'd be like, you know, did the dog have its first heat already? You know, is it a mature dog? I mean, honestly, I did a video talking about this, about like, um, at the age of breeding a dog or first heat or anything like that. And I believe that if the dog is mature enough, you
Mhm.
know, that I wouldn't have a problem breeding at 17 months. But it also depends on the breed and things like that too, you know.
That's
But I
right.
would think APB, American Pit Bull Terrier, I think at 17 months, I personally would. I would tell him to go check out that video, because like I said, I was just quoting a vet. A vet literally wrote a book about it, talking about it. Some breeds, like I think it was like the Jack Russell or something like that, they actually want to breed relatively early on because it adds spring to rib or something like that. So that,
Oh,
like,
really? Yeah.
yeah, so personally me, yeah, I think if she acts mature enough, I would do it. But at 17 months, I think she probably already had her first heat too.
Yeah, in our breed, we usually do the second, sometimes even the third heat.
Yeah.
Males, shoot, 1 years old sometimes. It just
Yeah,
depends on the
yeah.
breeder. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Do your males take care of the pups? Yeah, I think
No.
you kind of answer
Yeah,
that.
do your male dogs take care of pups? I've never really. I mean, and I guess what would you what would you consider taking care of pups? Like, because obviously they can't feed them or anything, and in the
Uh,
first week or two, that's all.
maybe he means are they just good with them? But to be around them.
Yeah. I mean, what I've noticed is my males is kind of don't pay them any. They don't really pay the puppies a whole lot of mind when they're first
Right.
born. And again, I've heard stories of male dogs wanting to go over to the puppies, pick up a puppy in its mouth, play with it. But playing for a newborn puppy and playing for an adult dog are two completely different things. So if a puppy is being picked up by a male dog and hey, I'm moving my head around or whatever, by the time the dog puts the puppy down, it could be dead. So I kind of I don't want to find out, to be
That's
honest.
right. So where the
Yeah.
baubles at?
Oh man, that's Jordan, man.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
man. Yo, my
yeah,
Borbo, you gotta see her, man. Yo, she's
yeah. I
she's
saw
just
her
like a
earlier.
mom. I remember when I went to visit Jordan and I did an episode on it and it got a lot of views, like 100,000 views or something like that on YouTube.
Mhm.
I documented the whole experience. And I remember when we went there and I saw my dog's mother and like this dog, I mean, talk about like just one of those females that it's like you walk in and she's already like she's checking you when you first walk in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But listen to him perfectly. When he put her
Yeah.
on the leash and everything, she already knew, to listen. But if you came into that house and you weren't like brought in with somebody, oh no.
Right.
So yeah, so my female's great. I love her. I love her. She's great. She's protective over the house. She's gentle with my son. She's great. I gotta post more videos of her.
That's what's up.
I love the Borbles. I heard it's becoming a very popular breed now. I got into it
Yeah,
because I didn't know it was popular. I just liked it.
that Presser, and that Connie Corso are really hot big dogs right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
thought so.
So yeah, we cover a lot on those dogs. Marcus Gales, how you doing, my brother? From another mother. What type of kibble do you use?
So for personally for me, I do believe that raw is the best. I'm not gonna lie. I think raw is the best. Personally, me though, do I give raw? Based off of my time, my schedule, and the amount of dogs I have, I personally don't right now.
Mhm.
That could always change, but for right now, I don't. So the food that I use, the kibble that I use, is, believe it or not, Costco. I use the Nature's Domain.
Mhm.
I had found out that that dog food is made by the same, so it's owned, like, how Costco, they brand a lot of stuff. They put their own brand on a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
different things.
yeah.
So with that particular dog food, it's branded Costco. Nature's Domain is branded Costco. It's a really reasonable price. And that dog food, the company that makes the dog food is like Diamond dog food company or whatever.
Diamond, yeah, Diamond
And
Natural,
they make, from what I remember, I looked into this a long time ago. That company is the same company that makes Taste of the Wild.
yeah. Mhm.
And you're
Yeah,
getting it for damn near half the price. And there was a
right.
video on YouTube of somebody who did a comparison test, and it was very, very similar, the two dog foods. So
Mhm.
I had, like, before that, I was on Taste of the Wild, and then I put them on this, and it agrees with them. But I just tell people, this is what I tell people: dog food is like so different for every single dog, home, region, area. Like, what works for me may not work for you.
That's right.
So I
Yeah,
found this is what works for me and my dogs right now. It doesn't really
yeah,
cause them to give them allergies or anything like that. You may give it to your dogs and they start breaking out. It's really
right.
like a trial and error kind of thing. And the biggest thing I could say is don't fall into the fads. Don't fall into, oh, this new dog food company or everybody's using this brand now, so I got to use it as well. Like, if you
Mhm.
find something that works,
Works, yeah.
stick with it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
right.
again, like when they had the Victor recalls and all that stuff going on, I was still
Mhm.
rocking with my Costco food. You know what I'm saying? And I
Right.
didn't have really any issues with my dogs. I mean, again, I'm not like a canine nutritionist or anything like that, but
Right.
Like I said, I've just noticed when people DM me and they're like, "Oh, my dog broke out because I tried this food or that food." Hey, just find what works for you. You can try what I use, but find what works for you and then stick with it. Don't follow the fads because this new dog food came out and everybody wants to start using that. Because that's a whole fad
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you this because I posted a short the other day. It was a very interesting thing. It was going raw versus kibble.
Okay.
And the guy said that as a breeder, this is Brother Brian from Steadfast. He
Okay.
said it's his responsibility to create a dog that can eat kibble. It shouldn't have to just be forced to eat raw. You know what I mean? He said
Yeah.
in his program, skin issues he don't want. If he can't eat some type of kibble, what his point was, he's just like, shouldn't any breeder just be forcing you to feed your dog raw food to avoid some
I
issues
yeah,
you might have in the blind?
I get like the method. I get the thinking. The only thing that I would say is like, well, that's like, I mean, but then I would argue and say like, well, humans should be able to eat whatever they want, and basically, as long like, and basically, the only ones that are that should be able to whatever survive are the ones that can eat off of whatever. Like, it just kind of, I don't know, like kibble, you have no control over what they're putting in the food, so that's where
Yeah.
certain things like that's why we give prenatals and stuff like that. I just I don't know. I feel like to say that I'm breeding for a dog that can like has to eat kibble. I like for me, for example, I have dogs that eat kibble right now, but
Mhm.
certain kibble they don't agree with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If I go eat, you know, I don't know, like
Certain things.
seafood. Yeah,
Yeah.
if I go eat seafood, it's not gonna agree with me.
Right.
And then it's like if the dog can't eat those things, then so what do you what do you do? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
you don't are you going to put that dog in a pet home now because it doesn't it's not able to eat this kibble because kibble is so subjective, like it's like you're saying kibble, but there's like hundreds and hundreds of different of dog food brands out there. So maybe okay, this one dog food brand doesn't agree with your dog, but maybe this other one does. So
Mhm.
now you're gonna say I'm just gonna scrap the whole thing because it doesn't like this one specific dog food that I buy. You either
Mhm.
have to eat this one dog food brand that I buy, otherwise you're scrapped. I don't know if I kind of subscribe to that. That's just my
Right.
opinion, you know?
Yeah. That goes back to what you said about you got to do what works for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. You gotta do what works for you, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, hey, I mean, if there was some type of standard with the dog food, then maybe that'd be different. Maybe that'd be a different story, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um because like I was talking to this golden retriever breeder and they were saying like for example in Europe, that's why they like to import a lot of the dogs over here from Europe because they're healthier, but it's also because they don't eat kibble here. The dogs here, the golden retrievers here are more prone to getting cancer because of the food that's here.
Mm.
So I just think, like I said, uh, if there was some kind of standard, like if there was a reason why they had to eat this one type of kibble, then maybe I would be like, all right, well, this is the only food source that we have readily available for dogs. So they kind of either have to get with it or not because we have no other option. But you have options. So
Mhm.
with my dogs, I buy two different versions. One is the fish, and one is the turkey. Some dogs get fish, some get turkey. It still costs me
Mhm.
the same. It's just two different proteins.
That's
Like I
right.
said,
Yeah.
I'm allergic to seafood. So what should I not have kids because I can't eat seafood? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
Mhm.
I don't know if food is a reason why you shouldn't be able to continue to pass on genetics. I don't know.
Right. Right. Um. Oh, let me leave it alone because I can keep going with that. I was gonna
Some
go
people,
into
does anybody disagree with me? I mean, I
no,
don't. I'm not
well,
saying I know everything. So I
well,
mean,
no, but it was
it's
just
just
like
my
it's just
opinion.
like two. Some I'm starting to see a bigger movement of people saying talking about health testing and joint testing
Yeah.
as a reason to scrap dogs from programs.
Okay.
And I'm kind of on the fence about that. You know what I mean? I'm all for health, but it just
Yeah.
it's kind of it's we'll get into it at a later date.
I'll
There
just
is a
put it. I'll just put it
okay.
this way though. I feel like with the health testing, there is a place for it, right?
Hmm.
And especially when you're trying to create like certain breeds, like so. I've been fortunate enough. I have a friend of mine who started a channel. It's similar to like documentary. Have you ever seen documentary on YouTube?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Similar to that. So I've been able to travel with him and meet all these different breeders that are at the top of their breed. And I mean, like I said, the German Shepherd breeder, he had like 100 dogs. He had 100 dogs, and he's licensed, and he shows them, and he's. I mean, I'm talking about at the at the highest level. So
Right.
I've been able to pick their brains. A lot of them been being able to pick their brains. And I think, like for example, I met this one. She's a Labradoodle breeder, and for them, health testing is very important right now because they're trying to establish their standard to be recognized. So
Hmm.
I think like, yeah, I think the health testing, it depends. It really depends,
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, we'll save it for another episode.
Yeah. Okay. Bet it up. So look at here. This is Fleurs American Bulldogs. You was just on documentary TV. Why I ain't been on documentary TV yet? Why you ain't been on documentary?
Right? I don't
Yeah.
know, man. Somebody gotta make the call.
Yeah. There's a condition where pups are low on sugar. They get stiff like they're about to pass, then go back to normal 3 to 7 days of age. Have you heard of that, Angel?
Yeah, I seen a video on you like on Instagram of people of like it's like this guy in like another country, and the puppy looks all stiff, and then he like wakes it up, shakes it, wakes it up and things like that, and it comes back to life or whatever. Um I know what, so the let's talk about both parts. So the first part is he's talking about low on sugar. So that's hypoglycemic, right?
Right.
So these puppies, when for example, they're really troubled and maybe they're not quite eating or getting enough nutrition or whatever the case it may be, that's typically one of the first things that'll usually happen, right? They'll become hypoglycemic. So that's why an old school thing was to always give the puppies like some carrot syrup, to get their sugars higher. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're dealing with some troubled puppies. If you're making your own milk recipe, some people will just throw in carrot syrup just to make sure, like I said, that they have stable and higher blood sugar rather than it dropping down. Yes. Now, if they become hypoglycemic, they become, I guess, what you would consider like a diabetic, and they can pass on you.
Mhm.
As far as like turning stiff, and they pass and then they come back to normal, at least in my experience, like what I've witnessed and with helping other people and so on and so forth, the ones that get to that point where it's so drastic already where they get stiff, and then you're like kind of trying to get them up and awake, like that the viral video that I saw. A lot of people that I know that I get their opinions and things like that told me that puppy most likely didn't survive. Like he probably got it awake for that video, and then later on winded up passing.
Mhm.
Because it does a lot of damage. If the puppy becomes hypoglycemic for long enough, I mean, think about this: like if you're not getting enough nutrition long enough, what happens? Like organs shut down and things like that, and now you have long-term problems because this is a newborn puppy. So I hope that answers it. With puppies
Yeah.
it's tough. With puppies it's tough because we don't have the same like what's the word I'm looking for, like knowledge base when it comes to vets. Like when you get a newborn puppy, they don't they can't do the same things that they would for like an adult dog,
Mhm.
and vets, and this isn't me saying this, I'm quoting the head of genetics and reproduction at one of the top veterinary schools. She said they only teach vets, I think it was like for neonatal care, I think it's like it's like 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days.
Mm.
Imagine trying to learn everything you need to know about newborn puppies in 2 to 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
For real.
So yeah.
How many litters should a dam have?
For me, we've always kind of done like a rule of like four. Um,
Mhm.
we like to do them back to back, get them over with. We
Mhm.
also believe that, hey, if you can get what you wanted out of that female, right? Because it's always about breeding for something better. So if we couldn't outproduce that female in the first four breedings,
Mhm.
then maybe we need to go back to the drawing board, because how is it that we did four breedings and we didn't produce not one puppy that was better, or was a tool that we could utilize for the program to continue. So we do
Mhm.
four. I do know of some dogs that have done more. People have done more. If you are going to venture to do more, I would just say have her uterus checked to make sure it looks healthy. You can
Yeah.
bring her to the vet. They go in with an endoscope and they check her uterus to make sure she's healthy. But I usually like to be at like four. That's personal. That's just personally me.
Right. Right. Uh, Dickie Foster. Dickie, he famous Foster is his real name. Brother Joe, you've been having great interviews. Thank you so much, man. I told you 2025 we was gonna come in a smoking and a poking.
Uh, Yo,
Uh,
I think this might be a good interview. I don't know. I haven't really. I don't know
it
how the
is a good
others have
interview.
been, but
Yeah, you like I said earlier, man. You don't know how many times I've had people say, "Man, do a interview with somebody on Whelping." Just like
okay,
it's
okay,
just so many people that can't get the
yeah,
information. That's why I had to start the channel, bro. When I got
yeah,
started, I would, I'm nosy. I would ask questions so much so I would ask so many questions. People were like, "I'm gonna tell you something about the dog community." It's a lot of politics. It's a lot of screenshotting and he
yeah,
said yes and he said.
yeah,
So I was going around asking questions about to anybody I could, and they would send things to each other. But now I'll just do it in front of the world.
yeah. Exactly, bro.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like when I
yeah.
started doing my YouTube channel, like when I started educating, the only person I knew that was out there really was he's a Frenchie breeder, and the comments you'll probably see in the comments they'll probably know who he is,
Yeah, I
but
know exactly what you're talking about. Oklahoma. Yeah.
yeah, James from Love My Pup. So
Uh-huh.
so that's who I saw when I first started, but there was nobody that I saw that like looked like me, that was in my breed or anything like that.
Mhm.
So I was like, you know what? Before it was even cool, because when I started doing the videos, it was almost like everybody wanted to keep it to themselves. You have to earn your stripes and things like that. So fast forward to now, it's huge, you know?
Right, right. Okay, I'm gonna go through some of these comments right
Yeah.
quick. And this one says, I'm feeding my APBTs like Bubba Mix does, soaked Purina and raw leg quarters. Okay. I know who Bubba
Okay.
Mix is. What's up, Bubba Mix? He's in Mexico, right? A couple manufacturers make most of the food, specialty feeds, ice, TFP nutrition, Mid American pet food. I think Doug, the co-producer, has some background in some of this dog food stuff, and I do a little
Yeah.
work for him right now, actually, with some hauling up some food to Joplin. Uh Angel, man, after watching your videos, I had to invest big money in my program.
Investing
Mm,
big money is always a good thing. But
right.
no, in all seriousness though, I mean it's self-liberating. To be able to do your own progesterone test, like to be able to evaluate your own like semen
Oh,
on your
yeah,
dogs.
let's talk about that. You have all these things on your website,
Yeah.
progesterone tests, pregnancy
Ultrasound.
tests.
Yep.
What else?
Ultrasound, TCI units, right? I'm a
Yeah,
really big advocate for TCI. I like TCI a lot. We don't
right.
in my breed we don't do natural ties because especially at one point there was sexually transmitted disease going around. So
Yeah,
that once that kind of went around, we stopped doing natural ties altogether. But we sell whelping equipment, right? So we have a puppy care kit that comes with kind of like all the bare minimum essentials I feel like you should have starting out. You know, some preemie bottles, puppy scale, some goat's milk, tube feeding kit, list goes on, stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, we got incubators. We got, you know what it was is like, after breeding for so long, I was like, people would ask me all the time, "Hey, what do you use?" So then I said, "Hey, you know what? I'll put it on the site, and you guys can check it out and buy it."
yeah.
You know?
And you kind of last time we talked, I guess it's been over a year ago or a
Okay.
year ago.
Yeah.
You checked me on something that I didn't know. That's very important about the TCI, and I was talking about actually doing getting semen in and doing the surgery. You was like, well, you don't necessarily have to do that because that TCI just gonna get you right there. Ain't no
Yeah.
sense in cutting on the dog.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But
Exactly.
believe it or not, don't nobody offer that in my area. So
Ah,
that's
man.
stupid. I don't understand why nobody don't got a little thing. I had
It's
to
a
go get it
skill.
myself.
It
Yeah.
really is a skill because I'm gonna explain why. It's because like
Yeah.
when you're doing the TCI, you got to make sure. So you'll see at the very end, it looks like a little ball. It looks like a little ball, and you have to be able to get the catheter to penetrate that ball. If you don't, then you're really just doing like a glorified artificial insemination. But you really like I didn't really understand how to do TCI until like I did a little bit more studying into like the anatomy of the female reproductive system and things like that. But yeah,
Right.
I mean again, yeah, all these things we sell on the website.
Hmm.
And what's great about it is hey, if you buy it, even if you don't buy it, I tell people, I'm like, hey, you could go ahead and give us a call. The number's on the website, and you may get me, you may get my wife, you may get one of the team members. If I'm not available, they'll take your number and I'll call you back, when I'm done probably doing a breeding, whatever I'm doing. And yeah, I mean, that is like, to me, I'll tell you real quick, the number one thing, because I gotta talk to at least maybe like 50 breeders a day, is the number one thing is that breeders tell me is that investing in a progesterone was the best investment they ever could have made into their program, a progesterone machine, because it ensures, right? If you're a dog breeder, the biggest thing is making sure that you have puppies, and you kind of can get as many puppies out of a breeding as possible, because we're fighting against time. Because if
Right.
you don't get puppies, then you got to wait another 6 months to a year to do it all over again. And now you're spending money on semen and blah 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 and all this stuff. You're spending money at the vet, all this stuff. So that's where, like, being able to do a progesterone test at home, it's huge, and we've had a great success with it. And yeah, I mean, I had a female, I had a split heat one time. This is how it started. I had a female had a split heat. You know what split heat is, right? Where they come into heat,
Yeah,
and they kind of
like a
stall
puppy.
out. Yeah. So I had a female had a split heat. So from going back and forth to the vet, it cost me like $1,500 in just progesterone testing. After that, I said, no more. I'm gonna learn how to do this myself. I'm gonna free myself from having to go to the vet. And ever since then, I really have never had to go back to the vet for a progesterone test. I do it all
There you
myself.
go.
The dogs get pregnant, so on and so forth.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, well, I'm gonna cut it off. I see y'all got more stuff, but I'm gonna cut it off. Just go to Angels.
Yeah, they gonna keep
Go to
asking
Angels.
questions.
Yeah, because we'll be here all night. But I want to put some input in on this. Angel dropped a ton of jewels tonight, but the main thing, guys, make sure you get prepared ahead of time. Don't wait. Don't go wait to find the information. Now go look at it ahead of time.
The videos are there. The videos are there. This video they can go back and watch. They can see, maybe some of the interviews you've had with other breeders. Same thing with me. They can go to my channel, Breeders Hacks, and see videos of whelping and so on and so forth. And we have an information center on the website that has different topics on each thing. They could just even click on it. And then the last thing I'll just mention is I have almost kind of like two forms of mentorships. One being breedershackscommunity.com, where that's like basically every week or every 2 weeks I jump on a Zoom call and we all kind of like talk and answer questions and stuff like that. So that's a nice little community thing. And there's like it's like a Facebook. It's on this app called School, and basically people can also like post questions and stuff. And then I also have where we did a 2-day event, and I'm teaching like canine reproduction and everything from start to finish. And that's in the link in my bio too. That's breedersuniversity.com. I'm sorry, that's a different website. breedersuniversity.com, and that's like a mentorship program where, like I said, for 2 days we recorded everything and kind of walked you through the whole process of dog breeding. So that's just some tools accessible to you if you don't have maybe a mentor local to you.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. So we'll make sure we'll put that stuff in the links. And Doug has been dropping all your links in the chat. So chat, if you can see his links will get right directly to him.
Oh, that's
Angel,
cool.
like I said, when I top the show off, brother, I really think you underrated, brother.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, man, for
Thank
stopping
you.
by.
I greatly appreciate it.
Okay. All right, guys, that's gonna be it. Go to Angel's page and say thank you. And I'll put NWA, let them know where we come from.
All right, for sure, man. Hopefully don't go too long before us doing this again, man. I always have a good time.
Hey,
man.
if you got anything ever new you want to share, just hit me up. Come on over, holler.
For sure. All right. Take care. All right.